I, 20SF, want to regain sexual attraction to my husband, 20SM. We have been together 8 years and lately have been having sex once a month. Biologically I still have a sex drive. I masturbate during my cycle, and if it's been a while since we've been intimate I have sex dreams and sleep orgasms, completely involuntary. But somehow none of this is translating to desire for my husband. He'll initiate sex and I just don't feel it. If I go along with it I feel like I'm being poked and prodded and usually asked to stop. I just don't feel the sexual pull towards him that I used to feel. I don't have eyes for anyone else. And maybe this is just the boring pandemic life talking, but I want to desire him again. Is there a way I can get sexual attraction back? Too long didn't read. Want to regain sexual attraction to my husband. Therapy. This is too advanced for Reddit. What thoughts do you masturbate to? You don't actually need to post them here, but can you involve your husband, roleplay the sexy lumberjack, or introduce some light bondage or whatever gets you off? Usually just stuff I read in erotica. Nothing I want to recreate, and he wouldn't be open to roleplay or anything like that anyway. It's mostly a hormonal thing. I only feel the urge to masturbate during my cycle when sex isn't possible anyway. I think definitely therapy, but also, try doing other stuff in the bedroom. If you enjoy mutual masturbation, try that. If you're into porn, watch it together. If regular penetrative sex isn't working for you at the moment, then stop trying to force it, and try other stuff. Approaching things from a different angle may help. I've heard good things about that book Come As You Are. My M33 partner, M36, of nearly 2 years refuses to come out to children and family. I, M33, am gay and I have been living out and proud for 25 years. When I met my current partner, M36, he has been divorced from his ex-wife, F35, for almost 4 years after they had been together for almost 11 years. Their children, M7, M13, F13, live with him half of the time, 2 weeks with the mother, 2 weeks with him, and he and his ex-wife get along very well. There currently are no issues. His ex-wife was going to remarry in 2020, but the wedding was postponed due to COVID. She and the children already live with her fiancé and everyone gets along. My partner knew he was bisexual for many years but only really came to accept it after the divorce. He since had a couple of ONS and short flings with both men and women, but I am the first man he ever seriously dated and the first person he seriously dated after his past long-term relationship. My partner and I now have been together for nearly 2 years. I love him more than I can put into words. He is everything I wish for in a partner, and our relationship has been nothing but supportive, amazing, healthy and happy, except for one point. He does not want to introduce me to or even come out to his family, parents, siblings, and, what bothers me most, children. I like children and I have always dreamed of having a family myself one day. I really want all of us to be a family. I would definitely accept his children like my own, and I have told him so repeatedly. I let him into my life and introduced him to everyone I am close with, but he is not doing that for me. I understand he is afraid of coming out, and I understand it is scary, even or especially at a later age, and that's why I never pressured him into anything and have always been very understanding. But I also know that this relationship cannot progress naturally as it usually would if he doesn't come out. Up to now I have only ever met his children briefly, and when we did first he introduced me as he works with me. I have not been able to form a real connection with them yet, but I could definitely see it happen if we had the opportunity. His children are open, easygoing and fun, and they have accepted their mum's new partner without any problems, so I really don't think they would have an issue with their dad being with me. His ex-wife does know about us, and she is the only one on his side who does, but only because she straight up asked him after having an assumption after meeting me, and he was kind of forced to affirm it. She told him she was happy for him/us and has since made it clear that she would not oppose telling the kids. Whenever we meet she seems rather irritated at our secret keeping. He also is very close to his parents, who I have never met. From the stories I've been told they seem like very kind people. I think they might be leaning towards conservative, as it is typical for people of their age. but they have never said anything especially homophobic, and I'm sure they would get around to accepting him if he came out. They seem generally very concerned with his happiness, and they would like him to have a new partner, seeing as his mother is trying to set him up with women she knows, which also makes me very uncomfortable. But I think it would be a good opportunity for him to tell them. I have repeatedly told him I would like to become closer with his children and that I would like to meet his parents and siblings, and more recently that I want us to be a family. He said he wants that too, and then usually tries to dodge the topic. When I ask him, he says he will do it eventually and just hasn't figured out how. I have tried to lay out options on how he could tell them, with or without me present, but I really don't want to pressure him into it if he isn't ready. I just wish he was ready and not so concerned with his own insecurities and internalized homophobia, but that's not on him but on society. I see myself having a family and I want that for me. I cannot imagine going back into the closet for the rest of my life. I do not want to live like we do right now, especially seeing that I'm not 23 anymore, and if I want to build a family I cannot wait for much longer. But I do love him, and leaving him over this would be so sad. What should I do? How long is it reasonable to wait around? Too long. Didn't read. My M33 partner, M36, of nearly 2 years refuses to come out to his children and family. I want us to be a family at one point, and I don't know if I should wait any longer. Dating closeted people is hard. I did it once and swore I wouldn't again because it ends up feeling like they're ashamed of you, or you end up sad and resentful because you're only allowed to be in a relationship when there's nobody else around. You definitely need to sit him down and shut down his attempts to distract from the actual issue. You shouldn't force him to come out, but if it's been made clear by his ex-wife and his family that they would be supportive if he did come out, and he still refuses to even when he sees how much it affects you and your relationship, then you should maybe think about finding someone who isn't going to keep you at arm's length from their family. He may be more worried about his kids not understanding than his adult relatives, but frankly if they're young they'll adjust and accept it without many questions, and if they're old then they're old enough to know better. Have a serious talk with him first. Explain to him in detail why it's upsetting you and how it's affecting your relationship, and tell him that while he doesn't need to tell people right that second, if he has no serious plans to tell people the two of you are a couple after 2 years, then you can find someone who will want to show you off to his friends and family. I think you should sit down with him and have a serious talk. Tell him how you feel and that you want this to work, etc. And ask him if he is serious about wanting to come out and actually planning to do it. If you find out that he is not planning to do it, I think you should probably separate. You can't sacrifice your happiness for him. If he can convince you that he wants to do it and is really only looking for courage or for a way to do it, maybe you can figure it out together. Especially for telling the children, you might want to ask the ex-wife for support, and maybe you can tell the kids together. Yeah, I mean, even when you kinda know someone, you don't know how they will react. My girlfriend's mother was spiritual and open, and we really thought she was going to accept us. So my GF came out, and a year later her mother still cries about it and refuses to meet me and accept her. If your boyfriend doesn't feel safe or in the place to come out, you can't guilt trip him into doing that. Even if it seems safe, it would be bad for you too. Imagine pushing him into coming out, something goes wrong and then you're filled with guilt. But your happiness and expectations for life and family should be met. As some already said, talk to him just about his feelings and plans for you for the long run. Tell him how you feel, all that you wrote in this post, and if he doesn't plan to give you what you want and live an open life beside you, then you should move on. You'll grow to resent him if this goes on longer and you don't get the family you want or a life you're happy with. It's hard being with someone in the closet. It shouldn't be like that. That would be a deal breaker for me too. Just set your own personal limits. Define how long are you planning to stay in this relationship and take decisions to make you happy and fulfilled. Keep living open and keep looking to be in a place where you're actually happy. Best of luck. Might I suggest an LGBTQ-friendly marriage counselor? You cannot control others, but you can control what is acceptable for you to have a fulfilling life. You already know this. Does he plan to ever come out, or is this temporary? If he has expressly stated that he refuses to do this and can't even visualize ever doing so, then it's going to eat away at you because you have lived your life so openly up until this point. There is no easy answer, only a boundary you are willing to place for yourself. I, 28F, have found living through coronavrius with just one roommate, 30F, very hard. Looking for advice. I've lived with Sarah for 2.5 years, I really enjoy her company and conversation, we go on holidays together, back in the old days when holidays existed, and generally like living together. She has always had her quirks, OCD about some random things like having doors shut all the time, even when inside, and unplugging every appliance before leaving the house. These things are kind of weird and occasionally irritating, but never a big problem, especially when we used to go to work 9 to 5 and then just hang out in the evenings. Last year we both went WFH full-time and I found it really suffocating, and still do. We are both introverts, but I am slightly more extroverted, so I would usually have plans at the weekend, whereas she prefers to stay inside and do nothing at all. I find that I am never ever alone for even 5 minutes in our flat, and because our bedrooms are next door to each other, it's like I'm in constant conversation. I find it really draining. It's like I am almost tired of using my mouth to speak. I just want to go about my day without it being seen or commented on. If I make food, I am asked what it is. If I go on a website on my computer, I get asked what I'm buying. I don't know what to do, I feel like a massive. But I need some space. I used to live with 3 other people and I thought that was tough, but oddly living with just one is way more intense. Living in NYC is too expensive for me to live by myself, and even after everything I've said in this post, I do like living with her. I just want it to feel less like a relationship. My friends have tried to invite Sarah out without me and she can't be bothered to go if I'm not there to travel with. I don't know how to say, please can you go out and do more things without me, without saying that we both pay rent 50-50. It wouldn't be fair. Anyone else had this experience? Too long didn't read. Living with one other roommate in a pandemic is intense. Let her know you're going to take some time for yourself, that you aren't angry, you just need to recharge, and shut your door. It helps to give a time frame, like I will be busy till _, and then take that time. I have a feeling this is sort of. You aren't being direct because you don't want to have that conversation, which will lead to stress and resentment, and by the time it comes up she will feel blindsided because it'll be a burst of feelings talk and boundaries. Doesn't have to be a State of the Union friendship talk, or a list of everything that annoys you and how overwhelmed you are. Keep it simple, small, and friendly, because this is a normal thing to ask for and it doesn't have to be a conflict or problem to be discussed. I'm sure you would want her to tell you if she felt overwhelmed, and she may actually feel the same but doesn't want to disrupt the status quo because that can be scary. Expressing your needs isn't an attack on her as long as it isn't made into one, i.e., hey friend, I will be busy the next hour, and hey, I wanted to give a heads up I won't be available on _, but let's watch a show at _ or my social batteries are low so I am gonna be quiet the next few days. Nothing personal. Wear headphones going to the kitchen, or if she sees you, even if they aren't playing anything, if you feel guilty not talking, make time for yourself outside of the home and inside the home. Reassure her it isn't anger and be prepared for a bit of anxiety while she adjusts. It'll be okay.